Hi, I'm Randy MacLean, the president of Waypoint Analytics. I have Brent Grover, the president of Evergreen Consulting, a good old friend. And Brent and I have worked in a lot of accounts together. We have a lot of clients in common. And we're sitting here today discussing some of the issues that we run into and some of the things that executives should be thinking about so they can be more effective in launching some of the programs that we've been charged with helping them accomplish. So Brent, in terms of the general challenges, one of the things that I'm finding is that people have a big change management job. They have to get people to trust what they're doing. They have to get people to buy in on doing something different because, of course, you can't get a different result by doing the same thing. And so, and we've seen some people really blow it, but we've seen some people do a really stellar job of it, and those programs have come together and have really paid for all the stakeholders. So I thought it might be useful for us to have a little conversation about and can share the things that we've seen that work, so people can cue in. So if I set a scene you're a business owner or a business executive, he can see the wisdom of moving the company forward to a new level. He knows that there's some things that are going to have to be done differently than past practices. How does he go about getting people on board with that?
That's a tough question. I think that planning strategy is a pain point for a lot of distributors now. Many of the companies whom we work with have come to the realization that they need to work on their strategy. Many times, though, to get back to what you asked, they just don't know how. They don't know where to start. Sometimes they'll admit that their strategy evolved on the back of a napkin at an executive lunch, or maybe the CEO thought it up all by himself one day. Mm-hmm. But the problem then is it's not really accepted by the entire group as being something that they buy into. They'll do what they're told, but their hearts and souls are not into it. And I think one of the big obstacles is that people have a problem discerning the difference between tactics and strategy. Mm-hmm. We say that something that's truly strategic is something that disrupts the competitor's plans. Mm-hmm. That really makes a difference. Mm-hmm. And coming out of a good process, the company will have 2 or 3 things they're going to do differently now. They're going to get them towards where it is they want to go. This is assuming, they can figure out where they want to go, they can articulate it, they can get everybody on board and execute. And of course, execution is where most of these fall apart.
Well, exactly. And in fact, you had mentioned the difference between strategy and tactics. Strategy is what you want to achieve. Tactics are the actions you take to actually achieve it.
Such as getting a new computer system or getting a CRM system, and those aren't strategic decisions.
No, and they're not very effective if they're just tactical items with a strategy that they're in service of. So I think a lot of people get confused on that. And we've had the great fortune of having a lot of exposure and friends with, like John Batiste and Robert Mixum, Pentagon 2 stars that also lead companies, and they know a lot about how to plot a strategic course and then translate that into the action or the tactics that would get them down the road. But I think back to the main point, how would somebody watching this start that process? What are the things they would have to remember in order to be effective in getting that change made?
My number one suggestion would be to get a facilitator to facilitate the process. I don't believe the CEO or a member of the staff should try and do it. The point that I want to really emphasize is the CEO should be a part of the process but shouldn't dominate it. Mm-hmm. Everybody else in that room needs to own it. I really like to have a small team. Like, to me, the magic number is 7. Mm-hmm. 8 or 9 is okay. Mm-hmm. 27, not good. A group that big doesn't get anything done. And if the CEO is part of that group and is able to speak last, if he'll let everybody else say what he or she wants to say before telegraphing their biases to the group, because instinctively, unfortunately, a lot of people just say, yes, boss, fine, whatever you say, that's what we'll do. And it stifles the creative thinking, because we're really trying to organize a whole bunch of complicated information about customer segments, about geographic markets, about products and services, about financial objectives. We're going to try and agree on a big, hairy, audacious goal and a value proposition for our company We have to do all that homework, SWOT analysis.
Right.
But when it comes down to it, we're really just going to have 2 or 3 things we're going to do differently that are going to get us to that BHAG that we establish, we agree on, and we're going to then execute, as George Patton said, we're going to execute violently. And again, start with somebody to be a facilitator. If you can find somebody who knows your industry already, that helps.
Yeah.
But it might be a professor from community college. It's got to be somebody.
Yeah, maybe a mentor from your business group, a CEO, a friend that runs his own business you happen to know, and he can come in and share some of his wisdom.
Somebody who knows process.
Yeah, so you don't have to necessarily hire a consultant. Well, that's a really excellent idea. But if you have to do it on your own, your main point is, as the boss, you can't run the deal, because all they're going to do is they're going to rubber stamp whatever you say, and they're not going to really buy in on it. And that's where a lot of these programs fail.
And I would say if the boss does what I've seen, if the boss runs the process, the end result's going to be they're going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
They'll just keep what they're doing now, because after all, we're not totally sure why we've been successful, but we don't want to screw it up, so we'll just keep doing it.
Right, well there's that. The other side of it, when I'm thinking about how this is done, is that it's easy to get distracted. You have the day-to-day and emergencies happen and so on and so forth. If you're trying to drive the company in a new strategic direction, and there's certain anchor points that you got to hit along the way. If you got another job with 17 other priorities, those things fall by the way, and that's where I see a lot of these programs falling down.
You still have your day job.
Yeah, so one of the benefits of getting outside expertise is not only do they know what they're doing, they've done it before, but that's all they have to do there, so they actually get the job done.
One of the things we've done, I think that has been very successful with companies with a strategic change, is to help them work out a monitoring scheme with key performance indicators that they're going to start every month. They're going to start the meeting, they're going to talk about their progress with these green, red, yellow, how are we doing? But the fact is all these tasks have been assigned to people, not one person, but to all different kinds of people. And they're going to have to keep the rest of the group apprised as to how they're doing. What we do as outsiders is we hold the CEO accountable. Because we call them up every 3 months, whatever, and say, tell us what you've done and tell us what you haven't done.
So you're mirroring the process that's supposed to be going on inside the organization, where people are accountable to their peers or to the rest of the group to make sure that things actually proceed forward.
That's why it's got to be an independent party
Yeah.
who can take the risk of holding the CEO accountable.
Now, see, that's interesting, because everybody talks about the difficulty of change management and how to get people to change and how hard that is to get done. And really what they're talking around the edge is, I don't know how to do it. I don't know specifically what to do, what steps to take to be able to avoid those kinds of problems. And what you're indicating is that the process is to put a map together, get somebody that's accountable for it, maybe somebody's going to do it for you, and to make sure that people are getting their buy-in in the way that you're communicating, so people are actually contributing to and owning part of the process.
Buying in, that's the thing. The smart people at McKinsey said there's 3 things that are necessary to execute strategy. And of course, they're usually thinking of huge corporations, not necessarily distributors, whether they're large or small. But one of those things is to have a compelling goal that's compelling to the people who have to carry out the goal, not just to the owner.
Right.
Second thing is to make sure that there's absolute clarity with each person as to what their role is into making that goal happen.
Yes.
And what's in it for them.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be money, it might be something else. And the third thing is, though, to build and maintain trust through strong two-way communication between the leadership and the followers, so that the followers, if you will, have all the information they need to know to get the job done, and they feel free to ask any question, and knowing that if at all possible, they're going to get an answer.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then a nuance that's sort of mixed in what you're talking about is need positive feedback. When somebody's accomplished something, it needs to be broadcast, they need to be recognized. And I'm not suggesting that we have a party and give out an award, but just the boss saying, that is fantastic, I'm so happy you got that done, I was counting on you and you really delivered.
Recognition is critical.
Is all it takes. You can get, as long as that's going on, and that two-way communication isn't just about all of the things that are wrong, but there's something in there that says, hey, you did a great job, and it gets them charged up to do another great job or the next great job.
Right.
All right, so that's a pretty good, I think that's really helpful. just in talking to you, helps crystallize more of the things that I think I would like to accomplish in my own business. And I hope that people out there will also be inspired to take some of those points, your 3 points that you made, and use them in their own forward progress.
By all means.
And
They could buy a copy of the Little Black Book of Strategic Planning that's published by MDM.
yes, that's
available.
That's an excellent idea, and in fact, that is a great book. It's very inexpensive, and it's a really great way of getting this and a great deal more information about how to get things done when you're changing strategy.
Okay.
So Brent, thank you very much for your
My
time
pleasure,
today. I
David.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
And thank you for spending time with us. I'm looking forward to seeing you in future videos.